And so it's the art of the tease, right? It's a thing that like when you watch, it's too much information. If and when you watch adult entertainment, I don't know what kind of fan base you have here, but I'm saying it's not always the act that's the most tantalizing. It's the part that comes before that.
It's the lead up. I love that this is your connective tissue to pair.
I've been married for 19 years, so you got to fill in the gaps.
Sterling K. Brown.
Hi. That's me.
I'm going to do one of these.
A kick?
A kick.
That makes me excited.
Because that's the feeling. I know that we're like, there's like these mics and these director chairs, but like, I feel like we should be on beanbags.
However you want to do it.
Okay.
I'll lean in.
Energetically.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just like low light. We're drinking tea.
Sure. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can imagine it.
That's the vibe.
I got the vibe.
Because
okay. Clocking the toes.
Oh, thank you.
Imagine the straps. Come on, Carolina.
Okay, we're trying.
Let's go.
We're trying. We got a high bar. This is very special for me to have you on. Folks listening may be aware that we did a movie together in 2021. That was a really special experience.
That's right.
And 21 was one of the best years of my life because of that movie.
Yeah.
And then secondly, because then I got engaged that same year.
Bam!
To the white man off camera.
There ain't nothing wrong with that.
And ever since then, he's been washing the lower half of his body, and we are loving it. No, and it was a really special year, and making that film was special to me for so many reasons. And there's so much more present stuff to talk about with what you've been up to. But I do want to rewind it back.
Let's take it back to the beginning.
Because that's when we intersected. And
Correct.
so take us to that moment, like when you come to Atlanta.
Yeah.
What was going on in your world?
What was going on? Let's see. Shooting This Is Us, right? And looking for something to do in the hiatus, and always looking for something very different to do because this industry will put you in a box very quickly if you allow them to do so. So you have to keep sort of pushing against the walls of the box and expanding it as much as possible. So met with Adamma and Adamma.
Who were just on the show, side note.
Were they really?
Yeah.
Ebo sisters in the house.
Yeah.
Love them both and love their aesthetic and what they wanted to do with their film. They had a short film that I think Issa Rae wound up seeing and sort of promoting and getting a lot of attention, and they wound up taking that short and turning it into Honk for Jesus Save Your Soul. The short was great. They hooked me with Regina Hall being attached to it. I got a chance to read the script, and I was like, when do we start, right?
Yeah.
So we go down to Atlanta. I think it was either one of their former churches or family church or something like that.
They had shot the short in that same church.
They shot the
and
short
so
in
it
the
was
same
like in the neighborhood of Atlanta where they kind of grew up in. And so they were close with that community.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's also like the Greenleaves Church, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah. So and it's huge. And like there was this conversation about, should we do it in LA? Should we do it in Atlanta? If we did it in LA, you would not have been able to find that space.
Yeah.
Right? What Atlanta has over LA is just space.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So everything in LA is a little bit more, unless you found like some very special megachurch which would have cost so much more money to do it, right? And it was play. I remember doing the table read, and this is funny. This is a little inside thing for people who are fans of Regina Hall, and how can you not be?
Yeah.
Regina's first read at the table is about as flat as you will ever imagine. Because she's like, I don't like to make any choices ahead of time. I kind of have to hear it out loud. So you listen to Regina read at the table, you're like, you're not going to do it like that, are you? She's like, no. But I'm just sort of like getting it out, right? She's brilliant. She's wonderful. I had so much fun playing with her. And I just wanted these two young ladies who put their heart and soul and passion into this film to get the best product possible, right? So it was a lot of like, they were asking me, are you okay? You feel good? Like, how do you do? I'm like, I don't know. How do you feel? Are you good? And it was a real sort of love affair in terms of everybody just wanted to give the best of themselves to the other people involved, which I think makes for the best art. Like when the spirit is so, everybody cares about the product and trying to make it as best as they can, and they care about the people that they're making it with.
Do you remember sort of like your first time coming on set? Do you remember our first meeting? It's fine if you don't, because I don't.
What? I remember you. We were in the same hotel.
Yeah. Well, it's an apartment building.
In the apartment building,
Yeah.
so like furnished apartment building. And you were a jogger, I believe. So you had were running or about to come back.
I dabbled.
Yeah. That's what I remember. I remember you running. And then on set, you were just very cool, very chill, mellow. I remember, you have energy, right? But I also think you're very sort of observant, and you take in and you get the lay of the land before you sort of launch in.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who launch immediately, that's their MO or whatnot. And then there's some people who are like, all right, I see you. I see how you guys interact. And now let me find my space within that.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that I got.
Yeah. I have a handful of, I have a ton of memories of you on set, of course, in character, and some of the fun that we had, and watching you and Regina play ball was so much fun. It was the ping pong was just there. And I remember when we were doing one of the dinner scenes at the house, that was when you guys were just bah, bah, bah. And I came to you guys because I just have to say, this is so fun to watch. And I feel like the movie turned out great, but the real magic was watching you guys create every take, and what you would find and how big you would go, and then us trying not to laugh hysterically behind the scenes because it was just so much fun. And then the improv. Yeah. The closet scene when you were trying on all the clothes.
We had fun.
That was super fun. But two very specific memories that I have of you that always stick with me. One was when we were living in that apartment building. We were just going to the reception and picking up some packages, just as a normal person. But and you're a normal person. However, you are also a famous actor who is often recognized out in public. Sure. And this building was interesting because it was short-term rentals for productions, but there were folks that lived in this building full time, and we're sort of used to this kind of thing. But we're going up the elevator, and we're going up to our floor, and it's just you, me, and the elevator, and then the doors open, and this woman was pushing her little cart, her little grocery cart. She's about to get in, and then she does a double take, and then she just points at you and goes, and literally couldn't move. And then you were just holding your boxes, and you're howdy, or something like that. And then the doors just closed, and she didn't get in the elevator. And I was just I guess this is just a day in the life of Sterling Hibra. People are just frozen in space by you because of your presence, your charm, and all the things, and now having had multiple in public outings with you, it's fun to see that dynamic.
Yeah.
But the second, that was super fun. But the second was, so one of my high school teachers was living in Atlanta at the time. Shout out to Crystal Hilton. And I was like, hey, Sterling, she's going to come visit set. She's a huge fan. Who isn't? And the way the timing worked out happened to be during lunch, and you were in your trailer. And I was like, oh, she's coming. It sucks. I don't want to interrupt you and da-da-da. And I remember texting you being like, hey, this is a huge ask. I'm so sorry to infringe on your break, but she's here. Do you mind coming out and just saying a quick hello? And you were absolutely, immediately. And then you came out the trailer and you hugged this woman like she was your long lost aunt, and took a photo with her, and you were just made her feel so seen and loved and appreciated. And she was crying. She still tells me that's one of the best moments of her life. Side note. And I was I'm grateful that I got to give her that, just meeting you, because that's, I think, the draw that people have to you, and to see it like that in real time on just what was a random Wednesday afternoon, you're just living life. This is such a big moment for a normal person as well, who's just out living life. It was so special to see how much you give, how much you go out of your way to make sure people get 3 minutes of you, but you're present, you're there, you see them. It's not forced, it's just so real. And I love that about you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it. There is a practice to it, right? I think the busier you get in this business, there's a feeling like you're just getting pulled in multiple directions or whatnot. And so the goal, as is in front of the camera or on stage, is to be present, is to honor this moment for what it is, and not try to project what's after what was before, but to just be present.
Yeah.
Because everybody has that experience of being with someone that's not there with them.
Mm.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very empty feeling. You'd rather just be alone.
Yes.
Rather than in the presence of someone who's not present. So, and the moments happen and they can be quick or whatnot, but as long as the quality, what I found is the quality of the time spent is more important than the amount of time spent. So it's a practice. We meditate, we focus, we try to honor the present moment for the gift that it is and keep it moving.
But it's a choice, and it's a choice that you very deliberately make. And I often wonder if part of your deliberate nature of making that choice is because you found fame later in your life. Who knows if this had come to you when you weren't as fully formed or certain in yourself that you would have, I don't know, who knows? It's very much a pontification. I find that folks that have been in it, okay, and then things come from that grind, just have this other texture and nuance to them in a way that you just don't get when you get success that early.
You may be right.
You know what I mean? I think there's a part of that.
There's a level of appreciation, and that, you know, it's sort of easy come, easy go. So just enjoy it while it's there, right? And also, you have to work to get to it, right? Like, I think if it comes too easily, it's difficult to be like, oh man, this is not like this for everybody? Like, isn't everybody getting carted around and everybody asking them, like, do they want something to drink or whatnot? No, it's not everybody. And it took a while to get to that place. And I think for me too, I never want to not be of service. So one of the things that would sort of freak people out on most sets that I'm on is if it's a quick walk to set from base camp, I'm going to walk. And I remember on Honk for Jesus, like all the PAs or whatnot, like he's walking. It's like he doesn't want to get in the van. He doesn't want to get in. I don't know what's something wrong with the van. No, nothing's wrong with the van. The van is totally fine. It's one of the few times that you get to be by yourself on set, right? And so as you're preparing and like, all right, this is what I'm about to do as I walk into this scene, and you don't have to listen to anybody. You can just sort of focus on that thing. But the opportunities to be of service, right? If you try to hold a door open for somebody. So, I got it. I was like, no, don't mess with my karma. I can do that too. Like, we're all in this thing together. And I find that in terms of a leadership style, if I have one, it's from the side, not necessarily like in front. Yeah.
And Honk was your first time being a producer on set. Really. I mean, I know you had some other credits as an EP and some other things you had done.
That may be first, though.
What was it like wearing that hat and stepping into that role?
It was cool. Like, and you'll find from project to project, EP takes on a different definition, right? Like giving notes to Adamma on the script in terms of things that we liked, things that we thought could be built up, etc. Easy and wonderful dialogue with Regina, right? Like it was the collaborative process to try to make the best script possible. I think that's how I function mostly in development. And then in sort of promotion, that's where you really, in that particular project, is like, okay, this is a small film with new filmmakers or whatnot. And Regina and I have a bit of name recognition. And if we get out there and tell people our enthusiasm about the project, hopefully that drives eyeballs to the project, right? So that's how we functioned mostly as producers in that particular thing. We got a couple of cuts, post-production as well, where we would see different edits. And then Regina and I would give each other a call. I'm like, what you think? And she's like, I don't know. What you think, Sterling? What you think, baby? What you think, baby? That's what Regina said. And we pass out those notes back and forth. And also delicately, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not ever trying to rain on anybody's parade if you don't think something is working. So I do enjoy a good compliment sandwich. I was like, you know what I really like was this. If there's something that we could work on, I think this needs some improvement. But again, this part was fantastic. I think Brown thrives off the compliment sandwich, because when people come blunt, it's like, well, did you like anything? You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind, like, some people are blunt instruments, and you kind of need those people too. But my style is I want to reward and acknowledge the work that has been done. Also point to places where I think it can be improved, but just reemphasize, like, we're in the right direction. Yeah.
Were there any moments on set that made you feel like, oh shit, okay, like I'm a producer here on this set. I have a different responsibility. Yes, you're still number one on the call sheet. I think maybe you were
Two.
number two. You were two because it was
Yeah.
Regina's show. But like,
Yeah.
you know, responsibility still of being one or two.
There's a couple of things. Like there's like I'm a fairly amenable cat, and I try to make do with whatever is present. But I remember one time my character was up on stage, and he's delivering the speech, but Regina wasn't there because she was getting hair and makeup done. I was like, guys, this feels really strange. And they're like, yeah, but the camera's not on her, so we can always get her coverage later. I was like, nope. I need Regina. And they were like, all right, we get Regina. And I was like, I ain't trying to be a douche, but like, I feel weird and strange doing this when I'm supposed to be in a scene with somebody and not present. And Regina was like, oh, baby, here I am. And she came up with her hair done and sat in on it so like I could have somebody to play with. So you have to do things like that every once in a while. And that's not necessarily just being a producer. That's an actor asking for the thing that he needs to give the performance that ultimately everybody wants him to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every production has its hiccups. Every production has like bumps. And you have little fires that you have to put out all the time. You know, whether it is interpersonal interactions or something wasn't there when it was supposed to be there. Now, how do you sort of like come up with an alternate way of dealing with the situation, what have you? Like, I think a producer is a problem solver, right? And I think the director is like the best producer or ultimately for that project because they are the person who's most capable of solving problems because they have the most intimate relationship with the source material, right? For me in particular is don't escalate. Like a lot of people, their anxiety will sort of make a molehill into a mountain. I was like, no, it's a molehill. We can just do this and you'll be fine. And like, are you sure you're gonna, yeah, we'll be fine. Everything's gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like I think you have to operate from that position because otherwise when a problem arises, it could present itself as something that is a possible derailment. A problem is just something that needs to be negotiated so you can finish what you already said you were going to finish.
Well, it's redirection.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to pivot. We talk about that a lot. And it's like how you choose to show up in those moments. You know, there's few problems that really can't be solved on set. And I know we had one of those where we were dealing on the very end of the shoot. I think it was like day 19 of 20. We were dealing with some weather stuff because when we were out at that mansion, there was like lightning and stuff outside of our control that was going to shoot us down. And you had to leave and we didn't have any more days. And we're like, we had to shut down for like, I forget if it was like 3-4 hours, enough time to really bump the production, especially on an indie like that. And it was just sort of like, I don't know what we're going to do. And I don't remember how it got resolved. Again, at that moment, it was like the biggest problem we had. And now I can't even remember,
I think the weather cleared.
The weather just cleared.
And
it was fine. And we got what we needed. And we lost some time, but we made it up, you know?
Totally.
So
that's exactly what I'm talking
about. It's like, but in the moment, it's like, oh my God, we're going to take an insurance
massive.
claim. It's massive. You're like pulling out your hair. You're like rude to people unnecessarily. And then it's like, wait a minute, let's like ground into what this really is. It's really, it's an learned skill rather to really tap into that because it's easy to spiral for sure.
And I would also say for you and for the other non-acting producers on that project, I think folks did a really wonderful job of protecting Adamma. And what I mean by that is sort of like allowing the director to focus on directing and not feeling as if they have to take on all of that, right? And her sister too was fantastic. Like Adamma Ebo, like she like you'll see them flipping out a little bit, understandably so that Adamma can be like, how are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're good.
Which is their version of freaking out, by the way, because they're the coolest, calm, collected. Like, if Adamma would just like raise her eyebrows a little too much, we're like, she's panicking.
Sure.
She's panicking. We gotta, you know what I mean? We gotta like jump to this. But no, it was overall like like I said, a really fantastic experience, and really proud of like the women we got to hire on that set, the amount of people of color we got to have on that set, just folks that were really good at their job. Totally. Frankly. And some folks that unfortunately were still finding themselves.
We did have a pivot on that.
We had to have a pivot. And that was actually, I just remember this, but I was really stunned. To me, that was when I felt like, oh, Sterling's a producer on this movie.
You think so?
Because all of that other stuff, yes. But from where I sit, like, I was not accustomed to an actor producer in this case being as invested in a department head's role in the ecosystem.
You need to know the reason for dismissal.
Yes. And we had to unfortunately replace somebody halfway through our shoot. It was really painful. We tried to make it work. It couldn't. But I remember I was going to bed and all of a sudden I get a FaceTime call from Sterling K. Brown. And I'm like, okay, what's up?
I need to know.
Immediately you were like, what happened?
Yeah. Without going into specifics, right? I'm very protective of Black people, right? And so when folks are given an opportunity or something, I'm very excited for them to have that opportunity. And if they do fumble, I was like, all right, I need to know, is it a real fumble? Like, is it a real fumble or is it a projection of somebody else's gaze thinking they fumbled?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's explained to me and I was like, okay, it was a real fumble. And then you have to say like, okay, however much I champion people, I also want people to do the job that they are hired to do with excellence.
Yes.
And if that's not happening, then we can move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was for me like, all right. Getting a call from the producer, a FaceTime call. It's serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now here you are. In less than 10 years, you now are nominated for 12 Emmys. Okay.
Yeah.
You've won 3 of them.
Sure.
And you're up for 2.
Yeah.
And now it's your first time with an Emmy as a producer.
Correct.
How does it feel to have that distinction this time around?
It's cool. It's cool. I remember on People vs. OJ, Travolta was a producer on it. And we were nominated in the same category for Best Supporting Actor. And we both got a chance to walk away with an Emmy on that night. Because John is a very lovely man and I appreciate him very much. And so now, like, you know, I get nominated as an actor and I'm also nominated as a producer. And I'm proud of the show, right? I'm proud of the environment that I think we've collectively helped to make where people show up and want to be there. They're long days. They're often very hard days. But I sort of try to honor the work that everybody puts in by letting them know how much they mean to me. And that's really awesome to have like a say in who the directors are going to be, you know, and like have picked some people personally. I'm like excited by that, right? My cast is dope, like watching like all the auditions and everything and being like, yeah. Or offers going out to certain people and talking to folks and be like, what do you think about so-and-so? I was like, I love so-and-so, why not? Or like, are you sure you want to go with so-and-so? Because, you know, I've heard, because reputations of people precede them, and talent is important, but being able to work with someone for a long period of time is also important.
Yeah.
And on a TV show, especially not a limited series where you're like, there may be seasons, right? There are things that I find, Carolina, that a lot of people, and I've talked to producers about this, for a movie, for a finite shoot, they'll be like, all right, I know we have to deal with this part of so-and-so, but they do deliver the goods. So they're willing to deal with it for a short period of time. But TV, especially like ongoing series or whatnot, no. Who you are as a person matters as much as your talent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel good about it. Like, we got a great group of people. And I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just wrapped season 2.
We did.
So the first season becomes a monster hit, right?
Yeah.
How did you and Dan and the rest of the producing team feel this extra pressure to deliver more in these next episodes?
So, maybe he did. I remember I go to the writer's room at the beginning of every year and I listen to them sort of talk out what the season is going to look like. Rough sketches, right? And if I leave with the smile, then I'm like, all right, cool, we're good, right? Like, and with Fogelman, 6 years of This Is Us and now 2 seasons of Paradise, there's never been a time that I've walked out and not been smiling. Like, he's really, really good.
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing.
Figured it out.
So like my role as a producer on that is really to just add suggestions or like a color that could possibly be added somewhere or not. But like there's never any massive redirects. Whereas other projects, possibly require other things from me, but I get a chance to rest and like the writing is good.
Yeah. I know Dan also said he envisioned the show going for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Is that what you guys are still aiming for?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for This Is Us was 6 seasons. For Paradise was 3 seasons, 8 episodes each. And we've talked out how the show ends. So we know how it ends. I love this process with him because I think you have that in film or theater. Like, you know, the beginning, middle, and end of the story that you're about to tell. And so, yeah, you don't have to meander. You don't have to come up with filler. Like, every episode gets to move the plot forward in a very meaningful and purposeful way. And when you get to the end of season 3, God willing, like, we don't get canceled. I don't think we will.
You will. You will.
I think we're gonna be all right.
You'll be okay.
Folks will be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, each episode has such like wild and shocking surprises. The way you guys do those reveals is really stunning. How hard does it become to keep that a secret?
Not that hard now. I think, well, because I did it for 6 years on This Is Us. Like, how did Jack die? What did it happen? Like, you know, like, there are secrets that you have to keep for such a long time that you become very well versed at talking about something without talking about it. And so it's the art of the tease, right? It's a thing that, like, when you watch, it's too much information. If and when you watch adult entertainment, I don't know what kind of fan base you have here, but I'm saying it's not always the act that's the most tantalizing. It's the part that comes before that.
It's the lead up. I love that this is your connective tissue to Paradise.
I've been married for 19 years, so you got to fill in the gaps.
19 years is how long I've been in LA.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So the whole time you've been here?
You've been married.
Me and my wife have been together.
One thing that I love about Paradise is that you and Dan made sure that it was shot here in LA.
Yes.
Which, thank you.
No worries.
And as someone who has been working and living here for 19 years, as I just said, like, it's been dire, this exodus of production. I know you're a big advocate for keeping productions here. We actually just had 2 of the lovely women from the Stay in LA Coalition come by the show and talk about the importance of that. And she specifically called you out. One of them specifically called you out as like an example of when talent demands it. This is sort of like what can happen. So talk us through a little bit about that.
I think our city is such a special place. Like, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, but I've been here the whole time I've been married, so 19 years, almost 20 years. And I remember, like, I have a remembrance of pilot season. I have a remembrance of the influx of actors who were, like, waiting for that, you know, that golden carrot that dangled from the sky or what have you. And so it represented opportunity. I also remember going into the rooms for casting directors and being seen in person and having developed these connections and relationships with people. And now as a producer, I do a lot of casting off of not just Zooms, but tapes, etc. During my hiatus, I'll shoot in Vancouver, I'll shoot in Australia, I'll shoot in New Orleans, shot in Buffalo. I'll shoot everywhere besides here, right? And the question that I ask myself is, if everything is being shot in other places, and if casting directors aren't even seeing actors in person anymore, then what is going to be the drive for talent to come to the city, in front of and behind the camera, right? And I mean, I don't know if it's legally or economically our number one export, but culturally, like, it is a massive export to the world, right?
Yes.
The city is special, and we need to do something to maintain its specialness. 20 years ago, you go on to the Warner Brothers lot, and West Wing is going on, and ER is going on, and all these other things. Like, the lots are full.
Vibrant. Yeah.
Started shooting This Is Us. Like, you know, the Paramount lot, pretty full. There's a few other things that are shooting. We're shooting Paradise. Not a whole bunch of stuff around. I think there's a CSI or NCIS that's still there. I think The Rookie is there, which is really, really cool, right? But a lot of things are moving. And you look at auditions for things. My wife auditioned for something that was shot in Ireland. It was like New York, Ireland for New York.
Yep.
So, right, I know they can save money. I know production can save money, and there's tax incentives or whatever. So 2 things, California has to be competitive.
Yeah.
And then people just have to get creative. Because if if it keeps going in the way that it's going, Carolina, eventually everybody will leave. A lot of my crew has to live in New Mexico, has to live in Tennessee in their hiatus. It's too expensive a city to live and not work.
Yeah.
These conversations are heartfelt and they are pleas to the powers that be, to the governor, like, do something. Let's get creative. And to the studios as well. There's other ways to save money than to just take your production someplace else. The city's got to maintain specialness. Because if it doesn't, I think the industry goes down. As a whole, the industry goes down with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, there's been a lot of comparisons to like what happened in the Detroit auto industry, you know,
yeah.
just like it's a real problem. It's a crisis, in fact. And
Yeah.
while other states are still booming, it's still like a big consideration. I mean, the amount of projects that I get brought on to even consult, and it's always like, we can't even look at Los Angeles. We can't even look at California,
Right.
you know, unless you're like want to go through the hoops of applying for the tax incentive program. And that's also like, who knows if you'll get it. There's
Right.
a lot of like blocks, you know, and there's a little bit of progress that's been made and we're grateful for that. But it has become such a layered, nuanced problem that requires all hands on deck, you know, and I think it's great if you can have a high level actor like you demand it and put your foot down with the studio. But I worry about the mid to lower tier of what this town represents in terms of those opportunities, you know, for people that are coming here, that are new, that are trying to still find their sea legs. Like there's no place for them to go and practice their craft to be ready for the big leagues because there's no more of that, really.
I don't know.
Right? It's a rhetorical question. I mean, but I applaud you and commend you for using the power and reach that you do have to be able to say, no, like we're going to do it here. You just have to find a way to make it work, because when you say that, the studios do find a way to make it work.
Gracias, mi amiga.
You know, they always figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, in talking about this level of success you've had, you know, you've had this really incredible, explosive 10 years, 15 years. You've been inside your career longer than I have, but like you've had this wild level of success. But in the come up, those first 10 years, did you ever feel like giving up? Did you work survival jobs to stay afloat? Like, how did you keep going?
All right. So I went to grad school. I went to grad school at NYU and I got my Master's of Fine Arts in acting. And I'm a man of faith. And so I had a prayer. And the prayer that I had to my higher power was, okay, spend a lot of money on this degree, right? I know there are no guarantees in this industry. I left being an economics major and having an internship at the Federal Reserve Bank so that I could move into illuminating the human condition, right? So it was not like the logical leap, if you will, but it was the leap that allowed my light to shine in a way that felt authentic. I was like, I feel alive when I get to do this thing. So go to 3 years of grad school in New York City. I got a full ride to NYU, but the cost of living in New York City still demanded that I take out loans. I said, listen, if I can just make a living by doing this thing that I love, we're square. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to be anything, but I just want to do this thing to pay the bills. So my first job was in an operetta at a off-Broadway house called In the Penal Colony, which is like a Kafka short story adapted by Joanne Akalaitis with original music by Philip Glass. And I was just movement in this thing. Like I was like physical movement. I was a prison guard who was like handling this prisoner, and we had like these dances and movement while these guys were like singing about torture methods, how this guy was going to be killed, et cetera. It was weird. I made $300 a week, and I lived in a furnished room that cost $85 a week. And so, which meant that I was clearing $215. Carolina, you would have thought that I was John mother effing Rockefeller. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Just to be able to pay my bills as I got out of school. And it meant that I had to find a very economic way of living, right? $85 a week for a furnished room. It was a 4-floor walk-up. It had a hot plate and a window, and I had my little green fan that rotated from side to side that like tried to keep me cool, summer of 2001. I had to ride the bus up and down 125th Street just for AC sometimes. But there was never a part of me that didn't feel incredibly grateful. I was in New York City. Like, I was living on my own. I was 25 years old and I was doing this thing that I loved. To this date, I've not had to do anything else other than act or voiceover or anything like that, related to the arts to pay bills. So my higher power honored this agreement that we had. Now, I would say the one moment of I don't even know if I want to call it doubt, but a moment of questioning. I was on a TV show for Lifetime for 6 seasons. It was called Army Wives. And after about season 3, I was like, I think I'm ready to do something else. And I told my showrunner, a wonderful man by the name of Jeff Melvoin, and I said, hey man, if you need something for sweeps, like a big death, or something like that, right? Like, I'm offering myself up. And he's like, what? He's like, you're offering to die for the show? I was like, yeah. I said, my wife and I were together, and she was living in LA, and I was living in Charleston, South Carolina. And we had a 6-week rule at the time. And through that experience, we learned 6 weeks was too long for us. So that 6-week rule became a 4-week rule. And now with kids, it's almost like 4 weeks is max, but if I can go 2 weeks or less without somebody getting on the plane, that's ideal. So, trying to negotiate a new marriage, also just feeling artistically that I'd done what I wanted to do. So anyway, he's like, no, I'm not going to kill you. But he did write a role for my wife in the 6th season. And that's when we became parents. So we got a chance to be together as a family in Charleston, South Carolina, which was really, really lovely. And then there was a renegotiation happening. And my castmates were like, you know what, we should try and stay and get the bag and see what we do. And you can pay for your kids' student loans and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I think my higher power has told me it's time for me to move on. And you hear a lot of fear-based conversations around this when somebody makes a stance like that, and understandably so, right? We're operating in the law of scarcity, and opportunities don't always come around. So it's like, while we got it, we got to hold on to it. And my belief was I held on to it, and it served its purpose while it was there. But in order for anything else to come into my hand, I have to let this go. And I knew something else was going to come into my hand. So the negotiation is happening, and they offer a number, and I was like, no, I'm good. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. Long story short, they wound up almost doubling the original offer, and I still said no. I had an unreasonable number in my head, and I said, if they meet this unreasonable number, I'll say yes, because I knew they weren't going to, and they didn't. But everybody else who stayed wound up getting that number. And I felt really happy about that, because if I hadn't stuck it out, they would have settled for a lower number. So I did 4 episodes of the show to close out my character, and I got paid. They paid me that number. And then I got a chance to move on. Now, leaving Army Wives, I'm a new dad, just bought my first house with my wife. We had a condo before, but we moved into a house because we needed a little more space for the family. And I'm unemployed. Or not regularly employed, right? I wound up going to do a local hire for a show in New York called Person of Interest. I was a love interest for Taraji. When I'm doing 6 episodes, but I stayed on a friend's couch. You know what I'm saying? I wound up doing some theater. I shot a pilot for AMC, and AMC had picked up every pilot at this point in time. And Mad Men had just hit, and Breaking Bad had just hit, right? And they did this pilot. Walking Dead was playing big right now. I was like, oh, AMC is going to pick up this pilot. Bada bing, bada boom. We're going to be good, right? It's shot in Utah. It was a very futuristic thing called Galentine, and it was sort of apocalyptic thing had happened, but people have gone back to nature. So there's these high-end huts that they had built with this sort of futuristic rustic wear. Okay. Didn't get picked up. It was the first pilot that they had shot that they hadn't picked up to series. And I was like, oh, Time's going on. It's 3 years. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine. I was driving her in the car. I was like, you know what, man? Like I was thinking about my whole artistic journey and whatnot. And I'm wondering, should I have taken into consideration the fact that I'm a dad, that I'm a husband, that I have responsibilities, etc. And she's from St. Louis. We're both from St. Louis. And she was like, hey, man, God told you what you were supposed to do. So you just need to believe. I don't want to hear any of it. So then I go and audition for People versus OJ. And I remember getting the audition. And I remember I was 18 or 19 when the case happened. I was a freshman in college. And I was like, oh, I remember this. Like, this is big. This is my life, right? And so I started looking at clips of Darden in video and stuff, and I'm reading the script, and I was like, oh, this is a good script. This is nice. I just walked into my bathroom and I shaved my head. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I see it. I said, I see it. I was like, yeah, I kind of look like this dude, right? So I go in for the audition. You've seen people audition, right? But you've never auditioned.
I have, actually.
You have?
I started as an actor.
Okay. So hopefully you've had this experience where you see people, where you audition, and they're not allowed to give a sort of response. But the people behind the camera, they're just smiling. You know what I'm saying? They're just giving you a little bit of a hint. And she wound up telling me, the casting director, she goes, I think you're a better actor than Darden is a lawyer. And she said, I kind of need you to muddy it up a little bit. And it was one of those auditions. I was like, I did what I wanted to do. You learn that you can't really attach to the outcome, right? But if you're in the room, did you do what you wanted to do? I did what I wanted to do. 4 months go by. Nothing. So I was like, okay. It didn't go that way.
Wasn't meant to be, yeah.
Wasn't meant to be. I know it was Ryan Murphy. I was like, Ryan Murphy loves famous people. You can use that as a soundbite because it's true. Ryan Murphy loves famous people. So he found somebody famous to go ahead and fill out this role.
Yeah.
And as I was having a little pity party, I was shooting a movie, small part in a movie called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot with Tina Fey. Mm-hmm. I was in the hotel restaurant looking at my IMDb Pro and looking at who booked all the pilots that I auditioned for. just really making it sit in. I was like, okay, Brown, Bokeem Woodbine beat you for Fargo season 2. So-and-so beat you for this and that. And as I'm doing it, I get a call from my manager saying they want you to screen test for OJ. So that period, from the end of Army Wives to booking OJ, that was probably the toughest 2.5 to 3 years that I've experienced. And that required the greatest amount of faith to sort of just stay the course. That was probably the biggest test. But there's other actors who have gone through way more for a way longer time without being able to pay their bills or whatnot. So do not cry for me, Argentina. But that was a moment of man, did I make the right choice? Mm. Yeah.
But you never had these, or did you have perhaps these goals for yourself of I got to get an Emmy, I got to get an Oscar, I got to get these sort of recognitions from the external forces of the industry that deem you, worthy of celebration in that way, to feel like you had made it, quote unquote? Was that ever important to you?
Escúchame, hermana. Everybody has dreams.
Yeah.
Everybody has done the thing where they stand in the room for a second. It's I'd like to take a moment to thank the Academy. This is me. But do you think it's going to happen? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I will tell you one of the moments for me that really sort of was a moment of intentionality coming to fruition was I remember thinking to myself, at the time, Showtime had a lot of good shows. There was Masters of Sex and other things, and HBO always has been having a golden run or what have you. And FX was starting to come up as well. And I remember saying to myself, I said, I would love to be on a series that's either on HBO, Showtime, FX, or AMC. And I'd like to be a major character on one of those shows, because those are the networks that I like to watch and I appreciate their programming a great deal. And I think that would make me very happy. And then OJ came probably a year or so after that, right? So I do think that there is something to stating goals out loud and putting pen to paper. Like, I think there's something that sort of neurotransmitter, what have you, just sort of activates your brain in a very particular way. It's like, oh, I have focus, right? And let's see how that focus is able to transpire and become a reality. I was perfectly happy being a journeyman actor. I was perfectly happy paying the bills, allowing my family to live comfortably, right? And going from job to job. And that's what I thought the job was. And then OJ happened and the job changed. And I'll tell you, in terms of that sort of, did you ever have hopes of stuff? We'd be on set. We'd be on set for OJ, and like the editors would come up to me and Paulson and they'd be like, you guys are cutting together really, really well. And we'd be like, oh, good. Like, we're doing our jobs. Like, we want to do our job. We feel good about it. That's great. And she's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. It's really, really good. And we're like, okay, cool. And then the writers would come up to me and they'd be like, yo, man, it's coming out nice, right? I'm like, cool, man. I'm glad. He's like, no, you don't understand. It's really coming together well. I was like, well, that's great. That's what you paid me for. I'm glad things are going well. And then we finished shooting and we had like a wrap party. And one of the producers, Brad Simpson at Color Force, he comes up to me. He goes, you shouldn't book any other jobs until the first 6 episodes come out. Like, don't take anything. Wait for them to see. But I'd already booked This Is Us. I was already pot committed and I was already happy. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm happy. It's all good. So as you start to hear like those murmurings, right? And people talking about their enthusiasm for the show, then you start to wonder. Like, I've talked to my manager and I'd be like, Jen, like, people are really, really excited about what they're seeing. And she's like, good. Like, she was just like me, like, good. That's great. They should be excited, right? You know, you show up to do a job, you hope to do that job well, et cetera. Then when it actually turns from that into like the nomination, that's mind-blowing in and of itself. Because I honestly, that's the easiest way for me to answer the question, because the fact that it happened, that wasn't on the radar.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Like, it really wasn't. It was just like, I want to do good work. That's all. I'll tell you what my North Star is, honestly. As an actor, I wanted to be the kind of actor that other actors liked. Like, when other actors say like, yo, man, that shit was dope. That's all I've ever, that was my North Star, to be an actor's actor. So when the nomination came, there's a moment like I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is nuts. Like, are you kidding me? These things are for famous people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what I thought in my head. Like, these sorts of awards are recognition for work, but they're also famous people do that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was nominated with 2 other people in my cast at the same time. I was like, okay, so we'll split the vote and somebody from one of the other shows will get it and I'll be happy. I'll stand up and I'll clap for them. Get to the Emmys and like OJ starts winning like a bunch of shit. He's like a bunch of stuff. And I'm sitting there and I was like, oh my God, people really like our show. And at a certain point, I remember I got up and I walked to Paulson, who's my girl, and I said to her, because I prepared nothing. I was like, I'm not going to win anything. I said, Paulson, if I win, who am I supposed to thank? And she goes, you have to thank the head of the network and the head of the studio. And I was like, who is that?
You saw that episode of The Studio, right?
Totally. Sal Saperstein, baby. I'm telling you, listen, if it happens, I'm going to tell all my nominees, like, if you can thank Sal Saperstein or even make it the real life Ike Barinholtz, that will be a viral moment that I would love to see play out throughout the night.
I would love that.
It'd be so much fun.
Nothing more.
So yeah, no, it wasn't on the radar, but when it became real, it was really joyous. It was really joyous, that first one in particular, because I've gone to the award shows several years in a row. And I know sort of the etiquette and how things play out now. And you always clap for the winners, right? But every once in a while, it's not everyone, every once in a while you stand up because it's like a large number of people saw that person's work, really appreciate it, and they're like, yo, that's incredibly deserved. And so I won my award, and I walk up on stage and I turn around and look out and everybody was standing up. That was the moment of feeling like I belonged. Like, oh, they were saying like, you're one of us now, bro. Well, welcome. And I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, you should just read me bedtime stories. You should do an audiobook of you just telling incredible stories from your life. I mean, what a way to make a positive spin out of that question too, of like, I know so many people, myself included, like the journey can be so hard, and it can be a real ultimate test of your faith and especially for people like us.
Yeah.
Nobody asked us to be here.
For sure.
And it's like, well, I'm constantly trying to prove that I belong here.
Yeah.
And when you get that acknowledgement from the very people that you do want to be embraced by, we all want to belong, you know? And if you have a dream and you reach the highest pinnacle of that dream and those people are saying, we got you, come on in, like that is what we all work for, that feeling. And maybe that comes through an award or something. But for me, it's been really hard, to like...
We've conversed.
And a lot of the heartbreaks that go along the way. And so I always, like, when there are people winning the awards, I'm always looking to the people that aren't winning.
Yeah. You lose more than you win.
Yeah.
Right? I'm 3 for 10. And with the 2 coming up, which I'll be 3 for 12. Like, and I'm totally fine with it.
I don't know about that.
I'm totally fine with it. But I do feel that, like, what you're saying is interesting because when you're at the awards or whatnot, they'll have the camera right in your face. And so they're going to catch your reaction one way or the other. And I think for me, I'm not going to say this for everybody because everybody has to find their own path to it. Being able to authentically celebrate other people's successes is what I hope people will feel if indeed I have a success. So I tried to sow the seed that I hope comes back, right? And I remember at the Oscars a couple years ago, I rolled up on Robert Downey Jr. because we're all in the same aisle. And before the award was out, I said, hey, man, congratulations. And he goes, oh, man. Yeah, I was like, no, don't try that. And his wife said, thank you. His wife was like, we know what's happening. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I've been watching this dude for years. Like, Chaplin? Tropic Thunder? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude has been laying it down. Like, when he won, I was able to stand up and be like, yeah, man. I'm good with that. And like a lot of people, I would be doing the circuit and talking about it, and people are like, have you prepared a speech? I was like, nope. They're like, why not? I said, because Robert Downey Jr. is going to win an Oscar. And they're like, you don't know that? And I was like, yes, I do. And I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel the reciprocity. I don't feel as if people have to be fake with me. And maybe they are, and they're really good with it or whatnot. I feel the seeds of goodness coming back my way, and I'm deeply appreciative that it wasn't hard for me to put them in the ground in the first place. You feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do feel you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about producing your company. So, Indian Meadows.
Yes.
How did you choose that name? Why did you decide to launch a production company? You're a busy actor.
Yeah.
I know we've offlined about why this is important to you. I'd love to get it on record.
Indian Meadows is the name of the neighborhood that I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. It is a predominantly Black neighborhood, or Black and Jewish neighborhood in the Ladue School District of St. Louis that has so many near and dear memories to my heart. It's like where you learn to ride a bike. It's these full neighborhood water gun fights. It is tackle football in the back park where you put on sweatpants on top of sweatpants and you still probably wind up getting bruised and banged or whatnot. But it was just freedom. It was unstructured play in childhood, which is something which is missing very much for children today. Everything is play dates, and we as parents stand and watch as they play. And if something goes wrong, we're there to step in. And this is important to keep your children safe. I understand. But I'm going to make a strong plea for unstructured play. You guys have a baby boy. right? Just not quite at this place just yet or whatnot. But as they get older, if you live in a neighborhood or have a park or whatnot where kids can get together and do their thing, try to let them fix their own problems before you feel the knee-jerk response to step in. Because you will feel it. You'll feel it. And you're like, oh, he just... But you have to be like,
Just watch.
Let me see what he's going to do. Let me see what he's going to do first. You know what I'm saying? And then if he needs me, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. That's my neighborhood. I named it after my neighborhood. I love this place. My mom still lives in the house that I grew up in, that she bought in 1975. And so the mandate for the company is to sort of champion stories that normally get relegated to the sidelines, with people of color, or people of marginalized communities, putting them front and center. So the first thing that we were able to do was Washington Black, like from the ground up. I came on, for Honk for Jesus, but Washington Black from the ground up was really special. It was also a story for me in the world today that sort of emphasized the commonality and the connectiveness of folks of the African diaspora, because we have people in our cast that is international, and the show takes place. It starts in Barbados, and it comes to the United States, and we meet Caribbean pirates as we move through it, and then we flee to Nova Scotia, where there's another community of Africans, of Black people who are looking for freedom and agency and to create life for themselves, right? And so much of the dialogue these days is about how we are different and what separates us and why we can't get along, like they not like us, et cetera. But I try to find the things that connect us. Like we're so tribal. We're so nationalistic in the world. It's not just America. Like there's a streak of conservatism that says me first that is happening throughout the world, in Europe, in America, et cetera. And I'm just trying to put something out into the world that says like, yeah, but we are connected. We are more similar than we are different, right? And so that was a really wonderful project of reading the book, of saying yes to it, of looking at writing samples of like who I thought would be a wonderful showrunner, looking at writing samples to fill out the room, right? Helping to develop the pitch, which is a lot of fun. Exhausting work. There's just so many pitches that you develop, and then you wind up putting them out there into the world, and they're like, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No thanks.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And so one of the things that I've learned too in my evolution as a producer is I thought naively that it was a content-driven process. And yes, you have to have great content, but if the package around the content isn't shiny and bright and sparkly, then most buyers will be like, yeah, but who's your showrunner? Yeah, but who's going to direct it? Yeah, but what are the talent that you have attached to it? Like you have to have packages that are undeniable because they're basically looking for reasons to say no.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying, Sterling. I live this every day.
You know exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And so every once in a while you get a chance to put a package together and it's like, oh, they couldn't say no. They couldn't say no. I got a show out right now that we have a bidding war on, a project called The Trees, so the IP is by a man named Percival Everett, who wrote the novel, who also wrote the novel that American Fiction is based on.
Correct.
So Percival's having a moment, right? Now, what made things sort of happen is like what you find, and this is what I've also found, you have to literally and figuratively wait for your pitch. And what I mean by that is nobody wants to be first. But Hollywood is a copycat industry, and as soon as somebody is first, they're like, we need that. Right? So The Trees is a darkly comic exploration of race issues in Mississippi that has you laughing and sort of crying at the same time. But a lot of folks, when I first came to it, they were like, this is a little scary. I don't know if folks will really get into it, Sinners comes out. I pitch my show. I got 7 buyers. So sometimes
timing
is
everything.
Everything.
Yep.
There are times in which like you want to service your writer and you know that they're enthusiastic and they're ready to take it out there. I've learned, I was like, just give it a second. Just give it a second. Let's be ready, but give it a second. Because there's something that's going to tell us now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that has been my experience, and I'm still learning, but it's exciting. And it's also, you have to love it, especially on the development side of it. You got to love it, because so many babies get thrown out with the bathwater. And you're like, this story should have been told. This is just as good as this other one. But because the timing wasn't right, I didn't have the right people attached to it to make it sparkly and bright and sort of like, let me play with this a while. And so I'm thankful that you have to go through that in order to get to a place of like, okay, I kind of have a greater understanding of what makes something undeniable. And I have to sit in that knowledge and wait until I get the package right.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now that you've worn your producer hat for a lot longer,
Yeah.
what's one of the biggest takeaways you have of what it means to be a producer in this season of your life?
I think for me, it is having an eye for talent and trusting your taste, right? Like, because if you don't trust your taste, then you'll have to ask somebody else, do you think this is good? And then that means you're really kind of passing the buck to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've read enough and been a part of enough things that I'm like, no, I know when I get excited about something, I trust my enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't just like it. You can't just think this is a solid. Because it takes too much work to turn solid into something. It's much less work when I'm like, I'm incredibly enthusiastic. It doesn't feel like work in the same way.
Right.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had enough moments of trying to take that square peg and fitting it into a rectangular hole and be like, I should be excited about this.
Yeah.
I should be, but you're not.
But you're not. Yeah, and it shows. And if you feel that, this has been wonderful.
You're wonderful.
You're wonderful. Stop it. I'm just excited to be with you on set again. It's been way too long, and it's since I've been on set, period. And with you specifically, I hope we get to do that again soon.
Me too.
We're going to manifest it. Manifest it for us, because you seem to be able to manifest things.
It's done.
It's done. It's done.
Boom.
Boom. Speaking of boom, did you see, can you show the audience your cool mug?
I showed them before. One of the Greater Pastors Baptist Church. Greater Past, that's it.
Greater Past.
What was my
Pastor
name?
Lee Curtis Childs. Come on now.
Come on now.
So much fun.
Good times.
Good times. Okay, so we're moving on to the martini.
Okay, let's do it.
First question. So before pivoting full-time to acting, you studied economics at Stanford. What's one econ principle you think everyone should understand?
Economics is basically the study of fulfilling unlimited desire with fixed supply, right? There's unlimited wants with fixed supply. That's the idea of it. But you know what? Honestly, spiritually, I don't believe in it. Like in terms of like the laws of spirit, and I don't believe in scarcity. I believe what is mine and what is yours is yours. That nothing can be taken away from me that is intended for me. So I guess it was a good reason for me to break from econ.
Way to make economics very faithful and spiritual.
Thank
I
you.
love it. Okay, you've spoken about having a very close relationship with your dad who passed. Yeah. What's one lesson that you took from him that you're now imbuing into your sons?
My dad loved me with his whole body. Any opportunity to hug me, to kiss me, to play with me, he took advantage of. I would sit on his lap and watch boxing matches and football matches, sometimes Cinemax After Dark, and we weren't supposed to tell Mom that I was watching it. But every opportunity he had to show and share love with me, he took it. I know people who've had their dads for a lifetime and they wonder how their dads feel about them. I had my dad for 10 years and I know he loved me unconditionally.
I love that. Okay, so you've been a voice actor on Big Mouth, Invincible, Interrupting Chicken, and more. What were some of your favorite cartoons as a kid or even as an adult?
Oh boy, the go-to for any kid of the 80s probably is G.I. Joe. I know a lot of He-Man people. Let me also shout out Voltron because I'm going to be in that movie.
Yes,
right?
you are.
And I did watch that cartoon as a kid, so that was a big one. So all of those. Is there anything else that was like absolutely huge? There's those, but then there's just shout out Mel Blanc. Like Mel Blanc, who did Looney Tunes, who did Daffy Duck and Porky Pig and Bugs Bunny, like Elmer Fudd, like who did everything. That guy is a genius.
Yeah.
Like I can do all right. That dude.
Some people just
killed.
have like a very specific lane they're meant to be in. And
Gift.
It's a gift.
He's
It's
a
ordained
gift.
for
Yes.
sure. What's been one of the biggest surprises in rewatching This Is Us for your podcast? That was us.
So Mandy and Chris and I just actually recorded 5 episodes this week. And one of the things that we find is that seasons 1 and 2 are very crystallized in our head. 3 and 4 feel like a little bit nebulous. So as we're rewatching them, we're sort of being like, oh my God, like that happened in season 3 or that happened in season 4. And then 5 and 6 feel clear because they were towards the end. I think what I enjoy the most is just I get to experience it as an audience member. Purely. Like the things that I feel is like, oh, this is what the audience must have felt like. Because I will watch scenes with Randall and I'll be like, oh, you're pissing me off. And then I'll see scenes and I'll be like, I'm crying at myself and it feels sort of schizophrenic or whatnot. But I'm like, I'm just enjoying the show.
Yeah. In the spirit of Washington Black,
Yes.
what places have you traveled to that ended up surprising you?
Oh, goodness. My son did a soccer camp in Germany. And I never thought I'd want to go to Germany, but I had a wonderful time. Very cool people. There's a piece that they've made, a recognition of the atrocity of the Holocaust that I think the American South could learn from. Because there's still this sort of idea that we try to sweep away or trying to gaslight people into thinking that it was something different. You know, people actually learned a lot from slavery. Okay, whatever. Own the shit that transpired on your watch and just be like, that was bad. We should do better. I feel like I saw that in Germany in a very real way and I appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, last question. What's one failure you wouldn't be here without?
The first play that I ever auditioned for freshman year of high school was To Kill a Mockingbird, where I was going to be Tom Robinson. And there was an upperclassman who needed more extracurricular activities for his college application. And the school was a college prep school, and so they decided to give him the role instead of me. Now, I went in for the audition. I don't say this all the time, Catalina, but I John Blazed that shit. I don't care if I was a freshman and he was a senior or whatnot, like I killed it. He's not acting anymore. I am. But the heartache that I felt, and I remember I sat next to my best friend, Michael Hogan, who's an actor as well, who's actually on season 1 of Paradise. He plays the bartender.
Oh,
nice. In the Thingamajigger, right?
Oh, that's cool.
It was very cool. And I remember sitting next to Hogan because we were about to go on a field trip and I just cried. And he had the wherewithal as a friend to just sit next to me. He didn't say anything. He didn't try to comfort me or whatever, but he just knew his presence was enough, right? Like I felt that failure was probably the greatest motivation to be great. Like if I had gotten it, then I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna cruise through this or whatnot. I was like, I'm not gonna have that feeling again. I'm gonna come in every time. My level of preparation is going to be so maniacal that you're not going to tell me no anymore. And I think I carry a little trait of that to this day.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Thank you so much. And congrats on everything. I'm excited to watch whatever ends up happening on the 15th at the Emmys. Whatever the outcome.
It's all good.
It's the 15th, right?
14.
14. Right.
I already won.
14. Whatever.
Yeah,
Potato, potato. Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.